It's called the expanding pedal board.
I think this is absolutely genius.
That is for sure bigger than my current pedal board.
It's the greatest idea ever. Dario absolutely knocking it out the park the minute.
Is this the real thing? Is this the real thing? You should be honest. Sometimes I can't tell. Do we really want this? Or are we lying to ourselves? Is it the burning hearts alone in the dark that make that midnight call? Cause we're caught between the real thing and nothing at all. So we should be honest.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Keys for Premier Guitar. I'm hanging out outside Nashville, Tennessee at Laverne at a undisclosed location at pre-tour rehearsals for the band CAMINO. I'm joined by Jeffrey and Spencer. Gentlemen, I know that you guys met in college and you're performing various instruments as you do throughout your show, but we're going to talk guitars, so talk to me about how you stumbled into guitardom and playing, being guitar players, and we'll go from there.
I would say stumbled is a pretty good word.
It's a very good word for it, yep.
Because I think I got my first electric guitar we started the band in 2015. I think I got my first electric guitar in 2015. So, grew up playing piano mostly. So, guitars just come to we started making band sounding music. And I was like, oh, I probably need an electric guitar. I think yours is
similar kind of situation. I was playing, he had an Americana sort of band group thing going along, and we met in college. We had a nice spring break together. Obviously became very close colleagues after a nice little beach extravaganza.
As you do.
As you do.
Were you guys in PCB?
We were at PCB.
Just took a guess. Took a guess.
It's not while they. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it was while they still let you drink on the beach. I don't think they let you do that anymore for very good reason.
Could you guys be the reasons of this?
There's a
ordinance?
Probably. I think that was one of the last years before they changed. But it was a wild time, and we had just become friends. We rode down there. And
yeah. So anyway, I'd been playing in his Americana band a bit over the summer. Then he came in with a chorus to his song, and he was like, "Man, I don't feel like this feels like an Americana thing. I feel like it feels like a real, band thing." And he was like, band. So we started a group, and I bought a guitar off my friend Will, and rocked with that for. It was a Strat. We both played Stratocasters for a little bit there.
Yeah, second, and I sold my Strat and bought a Jazzmaster that I couldn't afford. I was paying it off through Guitar Center. Yeah, you know how it is. So I was paying
payments.
I was paying like $80 a month, which was like so much money I was so broke.
At the time that was a lot.
It's funny because as we'll go through, you guys have a stable, respectable horses we'll look at here in a bit. But because of you guys coming in maybe the back door to guitardom and being guitar players, you don't have the preconceived notions as we'll get into your actual rig later on where, it's got to be tubes and it's got to be pedals. Like you come into it with a very fresh perspective where as we've talked before we start rolling, is that you can solve problems that don't have to be headaches because of where you grew up or the things that you've already established with tone.
Definitely. Troubleshooting. There's definitely a time where we were dead set on using real amps and pedalboard. There was a pedalboard era for sure, and it lasted a long time. But it got to the point where the tech on the stuff we're using now, the quad Cortexes and stuff, is just like unbelievable. Yeah. So, and it's so much. It eliminates so much room for error in a show, I still have my pedalboard at home that I
we still mess around with them. And
use in the studio, but it just eliminates oh no, it's time to go on stage, and I have 20 cables and one of them is not working. I don't know which one.
We have to spend the next hour and a half figuring out which one that is.
Yeah. Right. So, which a lot of people still do it and do it well, and it's obviously doable, but
definitely.
But yeah, maybe because we didn't grow up as sticklers with amps and always this is how you do it. We're a little more but there was definitely a feeling when it was we could get these. We got Helixes first, and we were like, oh, dude, I don't know. I want to hit my pedals.
Yeah.
But it definitely just being able to focus on the show. Like you said, we play a bunch of different instruments or a couple of different instruments, and also kind of co-frontman the band, and like, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you got to think about. So
It
it's
removes
nice.
it removes a lot of inconsistencies, and then it just makes everything 20 times easier.
Even
honestly.
though it was rehearsal, you guys did explore the space, you know, quasi-stage area.
Sure.
So it's like you're not having to even worry about, oh, I got to get over here, I got to hit this boost for this section or this solo. You're even taking that out of the equation.
Exactly.
It's
So
pretty
you're able
wild.
to just connect with the audience and
Exactly.
perform.
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
you need guitars to perform, so let's dive into it. Where would you say, have you each grab your main guitar and your number one? Which one do you guys think we should start?
Okay, we'll start with this one for you,
Yeah.
and then I'll grab this one.
Yeah, and Jeffrey, you've been a Fender guy, but I see that you're slowly making that evolution or that growth to Gibson
I
more
am.
humbucker
I'm
guitars.
opening up my mind a little bit on, you know, what
Yeah.
I'm down to play, which Spencer's had a big influence on me, and then just Gibson, they've been amazing to us.
Yeah, Gibson
and,
Nashville has been a huge help for us, and
And they wanted to kind of help us out, and we've become friends with them, and like shout out to the whole Gibson team in Nashville, but they, you know, even when they were like, I was like, I've never played a Gibson, I've never owned one,
Yeah.
you know, and they were still like, well, it's fine, we'll like, you know, what is Spencer like, well, how can we like, you know, meet in the middle or whatever. So even they've been, you know, really kind to us even when only one of us was playing Gibson, which is really cool.
I think with your case, they're probably like kind of a drug dealer mentality, and I don't want to disparage anyone at Gibson because they are great people, and they always open the door to Premier Guitar and our crew for the video team. But it's like, well, if we give them a taste, a little Gibson taste, you're gonna keep coming back. You're
Yep.
gonna be a lifelong
Yeah,
subscriber.
exactly.
Well, I've always wanted a J45, because when I was at like a camp at some point, there was an artist that I like looked up to back in like high school who always played this old beat up J45, and I was like, man, I want one of those one day. So playing one of those now, we'll get to acoustics, but started with the Gibson acoustic, and now, you know. But anyway, Fender is, you know, my first guitar, both of our first electrics were Strats.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I switched to Jazz Masters, and I have 3 Jazz Masters now, which one of them I use as a backup. I don't really play them live that much anymore.
All right.
But yeah, I've just always played Fender, and we named a song after a Fender guitar color, which is Daphne Blue, our song, and that's a Fender color. One of our friends from Memphis bought a Fender Blue Mustang, or a Daphne Blue Mustang, and he was like, dude, this is called, like, the color's called Daphne Blue, that's so sick. And then we were like, we should write a song called Daphne Blue.
Yep.
So we have a whole song based off of a Fender guitar color, and, you know, we always figured maybe Fender would want to like do something with that, like some kind of collab, but
I feel like a
Crickets.
band Camino signature guitar would be pretty easy
Yeah.
jump to make.
yeah, but you know, so far we've received a lot more love from Gibson than we ever have Fender, so maybe we need to make a Gibson color song.
Yeah.
And,
Pale and Blue. There you go. That's
yeah,
the next
there we
one.
go.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly. We'll stick to the blues. I think maybe that'll be keep it easy for everybody.
So what do you do? What do you dig about your, you know, the Tele that you still keep it in the arsenal?
Let's start with the most important thing, the way they look.
Yeah.
The shape, of course.
The shape, no, so just to explain the color, we're doing this tour is called Screaming in the Dark Tour, and the whole thing is kind of a play on the darkness and the light, and we're doing all this glow in the dark stuff. So we painted both of our guitars in UV paint, so this stuff, when the black light comes on, these colors just like radiate, which yours is a lot brighter than mine. The pick guard kind of killed mine a
Yeah.
little here, which is a bummer, but just kind of needed it because stuff was falling out. I'm gonna cut my hand. But this is just a standard Mexican-made Telecaster. And the main thing about it is I've been playing with an EverTune bridge for the past 3 years.
How did you get there?
I heard
a
about
friend
him.
suggestion?
Our producer, I think, was the first one to have
Yep.
one that I played. Our producer, Jordan Schmidt, has an EverTune Strat. And it basically, it's crazy tech, but it's just all, you have to hollow out a ton of the guitar to make it fit in there, but it's got these springs, and it's kind of like just a balancing act where the tension here matches the tension of the spring. And so I tune my guitar before the show, even maybe just before sound check, and I don't have to tune it again that whole day, which is
Sometimes
wild.
even like multiple shows.
Yeah, no,
obviously.
if I keep it at the house, I'll tune it up every week or two. But like, and it's amazing for recording because it's just like so in, and you're not doing a take, and you're like, oh, is it out? Oh, it's just like, which you lose a little bit of feel, a little bit of vibrato kind of stuff, but honestly, that when you have it
The
set up
trade-off
right,
is worth it.
Yeah, and I'm playing a lot of rhythm stuff, and I have like a couple little solo moments and some more diddly parts here and there, but like I can still get away with it. And the more I've learned to kind of keep it, you have to like put these like right on a certain little threshold, and if you keep it right there, it's still, you know, it still feels good. So
As someone that's not spent a lot of time with the EverTune, I noticed that you during when you guys were running through some songs when we showed up earlier, you have a capo sometimes. Is that how's that work?
Oh,
with
it's like
it?
perfectly in tune.
So
I could capo it all the way up to like the 20th.
So
fret,
once
and it
you're
would be-
set and it's good, it
yeah,
you know,
as long as the
capo's on and off are
intonation
not
is
even
good, yeah, it's
Gotcha.
perfect, which is wild. So all the way up the neck, dialed. I have one in my backup, which I can go ahead and show this, and then you can go. But that's what I'm using as a backup. It's a Jim Root signature Jazzmaster.
I mean, we should be talking to Spencer about his, but we got
Yeah.
to know what's going on here because obviously these come with EMGs.
Yeah.
So
we
what's
switched
going
them
on
out.
here? What
We
was,
switched them out.
was there a reason? Was it like
Yeah, it just
a sound thing or just,
yeah. So basically, it was so much louder than
it's
this.
hitting the quad cortex in a
Yeah,
different volume?
I was having to have all separate tones for that, and I kind of stopped playing as much. And we had already spent the money because that didn't come with an EverTune. We spent the money to put it in, it's a lot cheaper to just buy them straight from EverTune with it in there. Because if you buy a guitar, you know, you spend a couple grand, and then I think it was like $800 to get the EverTune put in. So
Yeah.
it's like you're way better off just buying one to put in. So we'd already put the EverTune in, and we're like, let's switch the pickups out. Maybe then I'll play it more, and I have because it kind of matches the volume of this
Okay.
now, and I don't have to have new patches. So
Yeah.
those are my two main Fenders.
What do you got, Spencer?
So I have been rocking the, this is a Prophecy Series SG from Gibson, or from Epiphone technically. I've been playing on the, my first ever Gibson was actually a Lizzie Hale Explorer that our friend Dan let me borrow. Shout out Dan, thank you for that. I still have it in my upstairs studio, so if
That's
you ever
good.
need it back, let me know.
That's good.
But
Sometimes
so-
those loaners get away from us.
Exactly, so that's where it
Who knows
is.
where
If
they
you
are.
need it, I got it still. And that was super sick. It kind of introduced me to the world of Gibson. I'd never really played Gibson. I mostly played a Stratocaster up until that point, but we were
Look at all
looking.
these Gibsons now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
look at
right.
that.
That, yeah.
And so we needed, our manager Jameson was like, introduce maybe like you play an interesting shape on stage, or like just something that's a little more zany, because when we first started, I didn't move around a lot, and I didn't do it. So just having a shape that was really interesting kind of helped that whole situation. And then a couple of years back, we stumbled upon this Prophecy series, and I was playing an Xterra, which is the Explorer version
Okay.
of a Prophecy. It's the exact of this. So they all have the Fishman Fluence pickups, which are super sick. I've loved them. I record with them all the time. This is what I use at home. And I also have a backup SG that is the exact same setup, and the best part about them is that every single one is exactly the same. So I didn't have the problem of having to change out pickups or anything like that. So just kind of introduces a level of consistency that I really like, and I just love the sound. And it's super moldable, and it's whatever you want it to be.
Now, what should we know before we get into any more guitars, and what strings you guys typically use, gauges and brands, and then maybe some tunings that you guys cover in the set list?
Yeah, we mostly just use D'Addario. We have a little sort of situationship with them. So we use D'Addario strings, and mostly 10 to 52 10s is usually I think what we use.
We were on 11s for a
I was
long
playing
time.
11s for a while, but they just got a little heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a jazz player, so I don't, just like
Yeah.
it's a little. I like to be able to actually move the string a little bit.
And then for a long time, you were doing two different packs. You were doing
Like a hybrid thing?
You were doing,
Yeah,
like,
I was
light
doing
on
a
the-
really heavy low E string, and then a thinner upper string. So it was like sort of half and half. So because I was playing in drop D a lot at the time, and so I just wanted those bottom three to really be like beefy and thick.
Yeah.
So I got away from that just because it's like, it literally is I would break my strings so often, and it would like start hurting me a lot. So
You would still
I used to break a
those,
string
like,
every single night.
Yeah,
so
it would be
was,
like the heavy boys, which is crazy.
So a little more, like a little less tension, and also it was like breaking my guitars because they're so thick, and I would play, and it was
Which
ran into
now-
a lot of weird issues doing that. But
Now we usually play the same size strings,
Yeah.
which is for
10,
a long
52
time. It was,
10s.
we were back and forth, and now we're just like,
yeah, they just
it
work
easy.
great. What's the black packs, like the matte finish packs? You remember?
No, the NYXL.
Yeah, the NYXLs. We've been playing
Yeah.
those for a while, and
Those are great.
they're pretty
I like those.
excellent.
What about tunings?
So mostly playing standard for most of the songs. I play, I think, 3 or 4 songs in open D, so dad D-A-D, F-sharp A-D, which I've really enjoyed playing in. Obviously, I need a completely separate guitar for that, but
Yeah.
it's just a lot more fun to play in, honestly, because you don't even have to think about it. If you just play anything, it just sounds really good. So it's hard to mess up.
I sometimes do guitar. Well, would have done a guitar a half step down, which I feel like some technical guitar players are going to hate me for this, but now I use the quad Cortex pitch shift, and I play a half step down on a couple songs, and it sounds amazing.
Sounds great.
It's crazy.
How does it track when you're playing it? You do you notice anything or hear anything? I guess with your ears.
No, with ears on.
Wow.
If I'm at my house and I'm like strumming and I'm in front of my monitors, it's a nightmare. But if I gotta put my headphones on so I can't actually hear.
Yeah.
But like with the PA, how loud it is, like no one's hearing this, and I'm not hearing this, so it's crazy. But yeah, I'm just pitch shift
Half step down.
and it sounds like
the real thing.
It sounds like the real thing. It's crazy how well it does, and it's crazy that it's getting the whole all those strings at once. Just like I can rock out, play whatever, and it is like
spot on.
Whatever voodoo tech stuff they have going on.
That's way out of my pay grade to explain that part.
There was one on the Helix, and there's different plugins and stuff that obviously do pitch shift, and it's always like you can maybe get away with it if you're playing like a one note part or something like that. But like the one on the quad Cortex
it's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
No
and
latency
with you only
either,
going
man.
down like a little bit, you know what I mean? I feel like if you're doing like drop C, then that's you're going down so low that it gets like incrementally more like noticeable. But
definitely
getting it with a half step allows you to fake it.
Yep,
It's crazy.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's the idea.
So it's weird because if I'm just like messing with it and I have like one ear and I can hear my guitar, I'm like, oh, nightmare. But it's crazy.
Yeah,
so
man.
I don't play any other tunings.
Well, should we meet some more of your friends here in the boat?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Pull them out.
So let's see here. I don't have a single song where I really play that Jim root. It's just a backup because if I break a string and I need to play it for one song or whatever, and Hayden will change string and I'll just go back to the telly. So the Jim root's kind of just there if I need it. I switched to this for 3 songs in the set, which this is the first time I've played a Gibson live.
Wow.
Custom Firebird. It's crazy. It sounds so good. So.
Yeah, and how did you come to, how did you get to, because there's a kind of a cool story, you were able to kind of pick it out.
So yeah, we've built this, relationship with Gibson, and Jordan and the team there in Nashville and Caesar have been amazing to us. And so we were making a music video for our first single from this record that just came out called Told You So. The song was called Told You So. And so we were talking with them about, they've hooked us up with guitars and so we're like, we'd love to play Gibsons in the video, and we'd love to put Gibson amps and stuff in the video. So we kind of loaded up the video with a new line of amps that they were releasing,
And Mesa Boogie stuff.
and I wanted to play a Gibson just because they have been so kind to us. So they're like, well, just come in and see if anything catches your eye. So
Which is a dangerous invitation to guitar players.
Extreme.
Very, because I don't know much about Gibsons. I know what Spencer has, and I know through him what he has and how they sound and stuff. So I go in, I'm looking at stuff. I end up grabbing a 335 that I loved, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I was going to take that home, and I still have it. And they're like, just take it home, see what you like, see if you connect with it, kind of thing. And Jordan was like, we have this one guitar in this case here. It was in the back room, and she was like, I think maybe Caesar or someone was like, they should take this. She's like, you should check this out. And I opened it up, and it was this, and I was like, oh my god, I've never played anything that looks like this. I've never played anything this heavy or this large. I feel like I'm I feel small when I hold it because I'm used to these small Fenders. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's so cool. I played it for the Told You So music video, and then I've just
I mean, the shape and the hardware off with
It's
the black
bad,
and
man.
the
It's
cream or
dirty.
the white binding.
Yeah.
It is a true rock star guitar.
it is.
I've never had that feeling because I'm a nobody, but that guitar, putting it on, I would feel oh, I'm meant to do this.
It's definitely some
I
rock
feel
star shit.
a little bit when I put it on, I'm like, oh shit, I need to get better at guitar. This is this is a real guitar. So I'm playing this for Told You So in the set, and for Haunted, and for what else? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sounds right.
yeah, it's cool to switch it up. It's cool to like see I have a Gibson and be playing it on stage. I'm like, wow,
Yeah, man.
I feel like a grown.
It's a good looking thing, man. And now we both have Firebirds. So I
Yeah,
got this
matching
one.
Firebirds.
Yeah, I got this one a while back. It's a little more natural. It's not. This is like it's definitely one of the lightest guitars I've ever played.
Hurts my back. I've never had like back pain after playing in the rehearsal this week. I'm
Yeah.
like, go home. I'm like, oh man.
Hey, man. It's labor. It's a labor. Or beauty's pain is what they say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like a classic. Just got some mini humbuckers, and then
Is it a little bit smaller than the
yeah, it's definitely like a. It's definitely. I think the
almost
scale
like a
of
shadow of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's more of like it's just doesn't have the binding on it really. So it's considerably less heavy, which is nice for me. This is what I usually run the Dad Fad.
Okay.
So, and then I have So this is what I play. I guess I play 3 or 4 songs in Open D, like I said earlier. So
And this one doesn't obviously have Fluence because they haven't come out with Fluence mini humbuckers yet. Yeah.
no, just the mini humbuckers, and I have to work on patches and do a little bit different thing that I would with the Fluence, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But pretty sick, man. I really liked Firebirds. I like that we have a Firebird, an all Firebird look too.
Yeah,
which is kind of sick.
pretty cool.
Very dope. So, and then my backup is the for that tuning is just this is what I played on the last tour, which is the
nice.
Extora. It's just got those Fishman pickups as well. So, just a backup just in case anything happens to the old Firebird. But
Now, are you going between with the Fishmans? Are you using the different kind of settings they have? I know that they have like the modern humbucker, but then they also have the PAF and the
Right.
single coil.
not on this tour, no, just mostly because I'm playing mostly a lot of really heavy stuff.
Okay.
If anything, I might switch to the humbucker, just to say that I did. But most of the time, it's
Yeah.
like I've fixed the patches to where, because I like the active. I just like the way that it feels and the sustain that it gives. So typically, I'll just stay on that the whole time and kind of adjust my amp settings more than anything.
And you have like limitless tweakability with the neural so that you can fine tune it to that, whereas maybe there'd be
Exactly.
a lot more issues with if you had like a more analog rig.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
exactly.
like those knobs don't stop at 10, they keep churning. you know
Yes,
what I
they
mean?
keep going. Exactly.
So what should we know about acoustics sitting behind you?
Oh yeah, let's
Are
pop
you guys
in.
both playing acoustics or
We
how does
are.
that break
Yeah,
down?
Yeah, this is here. Grab that. So mine is a Hummingbird Studio. I'll tell a quick story about how we got this. We were in Los Angeles doing like some radio stuff, or we were doing a preview for the new record, and we brought some acoustics. I think he brought another J45, and I had a personal Epiphone master built that I really loved.
Those are great guitars.
Super sick.
The Master Build series that
Super
Epiphone
sick.
does
I
for
actually
acoustics.
I had to. Another funny story. I bought another one because I'll tell that story later. But they both got stolen. Is the main point. They got
Damn.
stolen out of the back of our car in Silver Lake, which was a
Rental cars. We came out. We
Yeah.
went in a bar. We were post show. We went to a bar. We were in the bar for like 45 minutes. Came back out, and the back glass of the rental cars just smashed out. 2
Yeah.
guitars gone.
Yeah. So
So
right before what was it? Right before our Nashville saw preview or we were doing a record signing. That's what it was.
yeah.
Over at Grimey's in East Nashville. We
Best
Jordan
record
came.
store in town.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Shout out Grimey's. But Jordan from Gibson brought this over and was like, try this out. This might work. So it sounds incredible. It's one of the best sounding guitars I've ever played. And it has the LR Bags acoustic pickups.
And I
which are
imagine you either go direct to front of house or,
Yep.
or through the quad.
just direct through
Okay.
to front of house, and then I can't remember what they run it through at the
We just
actual-
switched. We going through the quads until these past like 4 or 5 rehearsals. We just got enough channels to just have this on its own channel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're going straight in, which is great.
Yep.
They're running them through all the good stuff to make them sound good. So
What about yours, Jeffrey? You got the J45?
this is J45, baby. Like I said, I've always wanted one of these, and I was playing a Fender on the last run, a Fender acoustic, and now I have this. So it sounds so good. Is this the one you were playing? We had 2 of them.
We had 2 of them
One of
originally.
them got stolen, so this is the.
Man, you guys need to get I'm trying to think of the word, but like in the 90s, there was a thing you put on your steering wheel. The car.
Oh yeah, like the
You need to do that for guitars, or someone needs to invent.
we have to have something like that. That's can't let that happen again for sure.
Yeah. But
So-
yeah, this thing sounds great.
Yep.
love
And then the other day I was at Guitar Center, and this is very similar to the master build that got stolen. And I saw it, and I was just like, I feel like this is the universe telling me something. So
Yeah.
I just bought it with my personal money, and I was like, took it over to Gibson. They put the LR bags pickups in it, so we just use this as a whoopsie backup for our acoustics.
That's the
so.
one you put in the car the next time you guys do a radio gig.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you go to the bar.
Exactly.
That's the one.
If we go to the
Like,
bar, that's the one I'm
buying
sticking in the car.
all these guitars was like, we have, we spend a lot of tour budget getting ready. We're making sure we had the right instruments, and then it was like, okay, we spent this money on like the business account, and then you go in and you're like, all right, but I could also spend like more money, my personal money, on more guitars.
Oh yeah. Even though Gibson hooks it up all the time, I still buy their guitars. So
Yeah.
thanks, Gibson. You make a great product.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, as we move into what we would talk about amps and pedals, you guys, obviously we've been alluding to, we have the quad Cortex, but what's interesting, worth bringing up, is the new record that just came out last month, or I guess, August, The Dark, was the title of the record, is that you guys recorded it primarily using the quad Cortex. So it's not any reverse engineering where a lot of times bands will use the amps and everything they want to use in the studio,
Right.
and then they condense it down into the quad Cortex.
Yeah.
So people are hearing on this tour that you're about to launch will be what's pretty close to the recordings.
Yeah,
Just came
exactly.
out. It's rad.
Yeah.
That was the idea. I just like, we wanted to, it was kind of nice to be able to look at it from that, and from that reverse engineering way, being like, thinking about it from a live show perspective. If we can, if we can keep it as close to how we made it as possible, then it'll just make this process a lot easier. Which obviously we still like to tweak and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used
There's a time and place.
our debut album. We went down to a studio and we used like every vintage cool amp we could find, and just like all the classic stuff. And this record, we were just kind of going for like, what are we used to? We use the neural plugins. Like whenever I'm making a song, that's what I use. That's what we pull up. So we kind of were just like, we use these and they sound amazing. Let's just do what we do, and then kind of go from there. And it's also nice because obviously you can record your signal and then you're not committed to anything. You're like, oh, I hate this tone. You don't have to re-record it. You're just click a button.
It's there.
So
Yep.
it's a whole new world, but it's crazy how good the neural stuff sounds compared to a lot of other, stuff that's like competing with it. It's definitely like, as soon as it came out and I was seeing videos of the quad Cortex, I was like, so we were on Helixes and I'd always liked them, but not loved them kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, the convenience factor outweighs the fact that it maybe doesn't sound 100% like an amp. So hearing the QCs, it was like, wait, okay,
Yeah,
this has even more convenience factor. It's like it's touchscreen, drag and drop. It's like using an iPhone, and it sounds great.
Yeah, it's
sounds
top
so
notch.
good.
It's top notch.
Responsive. So, yeah.
Now, while you guys are doing that, you're making sure you get a good take on performance. Is it allowing you to not worry about? Because sometimes bands get into a studio, and obviously you probably had pre-production, had the songs written, ready, memorized and all that. But people can get in a wormhole where they're chasing a sound and they're sitting on the ground trying to find that perfect pedal amp combination.
Yep.
Where you guys are probably just a lot more streamlined and able to focus on, was that the best performance? Was that the best take?
Exactly.
Definitely.
That's the main thing.
Don't get us wrong. We're prone to going down some extremely pointless rabbit holes. Sometimes they're not that pointless.
Did
but-
you even make a record if you didn't go down a couple rabbit holes?
Yeah, but it is just nice because sometimes you spend all that time and you just start losing perspective, and you're like, okay, well, here's the tone. We've been finagling with it for an hour, and then you go back and listen the next day, and you're like, this tone sucks.
You lose all perspective.
Fresh ears.
It's so nice to be like, okay, we don't have to record that. We hate the tone, but we're just gonna
Tweak, yeah.
We're gonna hit next on the preset list, and oh, there it is. Like,
Yeah.
Or that's a starting point.
Right.
So it's
Now
very fun.
Now it's probably hard to remember what you guys obviously did the recording, but it's saved to the QC. So can you maybe explain or at least try to elaborate on terms of like what people might be hearing on the tour in terms of like any amps or any settings that you can divulge that people will give references to in terms of any users that might know the infrastructure that is the quad Cortex?
What we used a lot of the same amps, I feel like, throughout obviously, like you said, it's just something that we can walk over and go check because I completely honestly have forgotten, but they're all easy tweaks. And also a cool thing about the QCs is we can, and I guess we're planning on doing this, but you can take them and put them on the app and release them to other people that have QCs, which is really nice. So obviously you know, we don't nerd out about the amps as much as other people might, but
Yeah.
if you want to see them, we can definitely
Yeah, I'm using a
divulge.
3-min on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sounds cool with the telly. Yeah, but it's the social aspect of the Quad Cortex. The app is so cool. You can go and search. You can search a player, and if they have it, you can search like Pliny or whatever, Mateus Asado, and if they have a profile, they might have a bunch of their sounds just set as public sounds, and then you just star them. You're like, oh, I like these. Star.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't listen to them on the app, but you can be like, oh, it says like dreamy lead or like classic rhythm tone. You can star it, and then when you go to your Quad Cortex, as soon as you hook it up to Wi-Fi, you go to My Starred, and then you scroll through, and it's like all the stuff you want, and then you can listen to it, and you can either save it to a folder that you have on your thing. And so it's just like a lot of my tones, you know, I'll start by just spending an hour on the app, going through, there's like Discover page, and there's like popular creators and stuff, and you can just go through and like save stuff like, oh, here's like a synthy lead, or like like whatever, like a tremolo. It's just like, oh, an acoustic simulator, like, and just save stuff that you might like, and then you can go through it later and just like, oh no, I didn't like that one, delete, or like, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna save that to like potential stuff I use for the show. And then you have a bunch of starting places that are, you know, not just stuff that was presets on the you know, human-made stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really cool for just like discovering sounds, and then same with like, I think I have some public sound. I don't know if I've made mine public. I want to say that, but also I don't know, if you go look for me, you might not see me.
Maybe we should just do it after the tour. I mean, I guess we can do it during. I mean, why not?
But it's cool because, like, you know, I could go and just set my stuff all to public, and it would just have all my show sounds like there, and like people could go check them out and be like,
And
oh,
you're
this
not
is
precious about that, you know, because some people like, you know,
No.
tape knobs and don't want to share anything.
Not
It's like,
really, no. There's not like a secret sauce I think we're using. Like, it's like you can go buy these and like download the same stuff. So it's like, you know, I think we've gotten less precious about it as
yeah.
Definitely.
as we've gone along.
And there's a certain kind of connection that can happen between you and your fans. You know, like, wow, that's what they use in that song, and I can, you know, with me and my Epiphone, you know,
Yeah,
SG,
you
I can be just like the band.
Literally
CAMINO.
do the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a certain type of like, I know that we're all connected through social network and all this stuff, but that's like something that, as a fan, you can really connect with the band that maybe on some level you're not doing previously when this tech was not available.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a super special aspect to the whole thing.
Now, what are you guys doing on stage for this upcoming tour? You don't have any cabs on stage that are actually live. You're running all in ears. And has that been like a growing process in terms of like your live sound? And I know that you alluded to that you guys had the amps and pedals. I'm sure you had cabs on stage. Was it a quick conversion to quiet stage, or was it like we took some things away but had a cab, but now it's like completely clean and quiet?
Yeah, I had a cab for a while.
Yeah, we both had
Yeah,
we both played with amps for a really long time.
Well, once we switched to Helix, I had a cab for a while. It was
Okay.
just for stage volume on like Bin Retro tour.
Yeah, I also had one
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
just for stage volume.
Yeah.
But then it got to a certain point where it was like we don't necessarily need. We have front fills and we have all this stuff, and it gets a lot easier to mix.
We were
when
just-
you don't have to worry about the volume of amp on stage. And
I had like a small Fender cab, and it was like we got to be playing shows that were like, this little Fender cab isn't really like stage volume, but it's like compared to what's coming out of the PA, it's like so piddly.
Yeah.
So
It's more just a feeling thing.
I like
for
how you
behind
said we don't have any cabs on stage that are actually live, because yes, we are taking these Mesa Boogie
Yeah,
cabs.
Mesa-
We're
Mesa
taking cabs
Epiphone.
like dummy cabs for the first time, just because we're doing this whole glow in the dark thing, and you know, obviously, like we said, our relationship with Gibson, they were able to kind of help us get these cabs, and we can do whatever we want with them. So we painted them all, so it just makes the set.
It got lights
you know,
in them.
Set piece. We hollowed them out. We put lights in them. So
Got rid of the vintage 30s, put in some lights.
Exactly.
Strobe
Exactly
lights.
what you need. Yeah.
So it's cool. They aren't live, but it's a nod to the fact that we do. We like them. We like
Yeah,
how
and just
they
our
sound.
and our
The
partners.
Mesa
It's
Boogie
cool
stuff
to
is amazing. Yeah.
do stuff with our partners for sure.
And what actual in-ears are you using? Like 64 sound, or what actual?
We're doing. We all have. I think Reagan included. All have all Claire, which is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just switched, so this is like my third day on them, and I love them. So
Yeah. They're amazing.
they've had them for like 6 months.
Six
and they've been
driver. It's pretty. They're pretty fantastic.
amazing
For sure.
Yeah.
And what would you say like your mixes are like in your ears? What are you craving to hear? What do you need to hear to perform?
Typically, I like to try to hear it as close to the PA as I possibly can.
Okay.
With maybe like my guitar and my vocal up just a little bit for my performance sake. But typically, I like to have a lot of drums, a lot of bass, which is always interesting to you're always fighting the vocal mic with the cymbals behind you, so it's like you always have to find the perfect balance of that. But typically I like to, if I can, as much of that rhythm section as I can, so I can feel like I'm playing to them and not so much to the click, just because that's part of the live aspect, is
That's
the
the
ebbs and
heartbeat.
flows
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the actual show. Because if one person's playing to the click but one person's slightly off, or it's just easier to have them really loud, and then obviously have a little bit of Jeff in there, and then his vocal loud enough to where I can hear him talking and all that stuff, harmonize with him.
Yeah.
I have my vocal pretty loud, I think, because I get a lot of drums in my mic. So I have like kick, snare, and I try to mute like all cymbals and overheads in my ears because I just get that from my mic, my vocal mic. So kind of other than that, like I got kick, snare, but like, and then bass, but like I keep it pretty, pretty even. Besides like just keeping the drums low for the most part.
Well, the last question I got for you guys, and it's kind of going full circle since we started guitars, is that I know you both have a relationship. I've seen you with it before, and then I've heard in another interview that you had a connection that kind of like the one that got away is your 339. You guys both were like fans of those semi-hollow 335 style bodies, but 339, have you been able to track it down?
I haven't found the one. So back in, I guess, like 2017 or something, we were in Chicago, and I was such an idiot. I just had it as a backup, and I really needed some money at the time, so I took it to Chicago Exchange and I sold it. But it was like the coolest 339 I've ever seen. Has this like cool matte finish with the mini humbuckers.
The Memphis edition, dude.
Yeah,
You
it was
guys
the
are
BB
Memphis guys?
King. It was a cool connection, and
They only made that Memphis edition from like 2014 to 2016 or something like that.
So
like
it was
2 or 3
a
years.
massive regret of mine. So I need to get back on that. If anybody has any leads, or if you bought a vintage or not a 339 between like 2016 and 2017 from Chicago Music Exchange,
Matt Black.
it might be mine, and I would I'll buy it back from you. Like it's. I look back at pictures of it, and I'm like, I'm such an idiot. That is the coolest guitar ever.
Every guitar player, no matter if you've been playing, well, maybe not 6 months, but like a couple years or 30 years, has that story of the one that got away.
An idiot.
And it has no bearing of like the value. It's more the sentimentality of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It's like I'm sure there are some more on the internet. I feel so dumb for having sold
if
it.
we can help in any way, that's the point. And
me
what
know.
about you in your 335? I figured we would see it perked in this boat.
So,
but
well, I was deciding which Gibson to bring, and I was like, I gotta play the Firebird.
Yeah.
So I left that one at home.
Got it.
It sounds so good, but it's like, it sounds so different. It's like, I'm loving it for like clean tone stuff more. So it's like, this made more sense in the set.
got it.
But
Next tour,
It's a beauty.
bigger
Yeah,
boats.
yeah.
But we'll play some more intimate
boat.
stuff, and you can.
I mean, obviously it rips too. Like I was like whenever I was practicing that honest solo at home over and over, I was playing on that. It sounds awesome, but just the Firebird. If I was gonna have the Gibson like full daddy moment, then I thought it was the
Oh
Firebird.
no, it definitely does the thing.
Yeah.
It does the thing that you're
It's-
meaning to do.
God play it.
Yeah.
So
Well, congrats on the new record again. Like I said, the title's The Dark. It came out last month. Surely wherever you stream music, I'm sure it's there. Check these guys out on tour. They'll be touring their nuts off for the next foreseeable future, I'm sure, right?
hopefully
much,
forever. Yeah.
Hopefully until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Well, check these guys out and keep checking out Premier Guitar. Thank you so much, and this is Chris Keys.